So dual chips is something we've seen in a lot of phones. Some flagships use it for the cameras, some phones use it for the performance, but the thing is, you generally find all of this in more expensive smartphones. This, on the other hand, the new Realme P4 Pro is going to be the first smartphone to be way more affordable, under 25k, and bring a dual chip inside. But to find out if it's actually useful or is it a gimmick, I have the iQOO Neo 10, which has been like the cheapest phone with the dual chip design. And by cheapest, I mean more than 30,000 rupees. So the question is, how does the P4 Pro's dual chip compare to the iQOO Neo 10s? See, first off, before we get techie, just look at this phone. The P4 Pro brings this new wooden finish. Realme is calling it the wood grain texture. And no, this ain't real wood, it's polycarbonate, but it looks different, feels like wood, I like it. You also get a quad curve display, and this time the curves are more on the sides than the top or bottom edges. It's also very slim at 7.68 millimeters, in fact, one of the slimmest phones in the segment. And this packs in a 7000 mAh battery. And it's not silicon carbon, but the phone's surprisingly very lightweight at about 189 grams. You also get the buttons on the right and IR blast up top. There are stereo speakers too. But yeah, let's talk dual chips. See, the Realme P4 Pro comes with a fairly new Snapdragon 7 Gen 4 processor, and I know the iQOO has the more powerful Snapdragon 8s Gen 4, but that's a different segment altogether. But here's the interesting bit. The P4 Pro comes with Realme's new HyperVision AI chip that claims to bring similar display and game performance compared to iQOO's supercomputing chip Q1. Now, on the display front, these phones have very similar specs. The new Realme P4 Pro has a 6.8-inch AMOLED display with a 1.5K resolution, up to 144Hz refresh rate. HDR is there, and yes, it works on Netflix too. Peak brightness hits 6500 nits, and HBM is 1800 nits. Yes, very close to the iQOO Neo 10, which also has a 1.5K 144Hz panel, very similar brightness. Now, the Realme P4 Pro does solidly in benchmarks. It scores over 1 million in Antutu, Geekbench scores at 1200 in single core, 3500 in multi-core. Stability in 3D Mark was around 99%. Awesome. Even CPU throttling stayed green the whole time and throttled to only 80% of its max performance. So yeah, the Snapdragon 7 Gen 4 is a very stable and reliable chip, but let's talk HyperVision AI. I mean, this chip helps in 3 new display features. So there's AI Hyper Clarity, which increases the resolution of images and videos. AI Hypermotion boosts the frame rates in videos and games, I mean the smoothness. And there's AI Always On HDR, which forces HDR on all content, even if it's not HDR. Now, the iQOO Neo 10 has similar display features like visual enhancement for color and contrast, MEMC in super resolution, which increase the frame rate and resolution just like the Realme. So very similar names, very similar features, so I put both the phones to test. Okay, so when you're watching videos or movies and stuff, Realme automatically gives you this sidebar, and you can just tap HyperVision and it turns on Hyper Clarity, Hypermotion and HDR, as well as the theater sound feature, basically everything powered by the HyperVision chip. And this helps with low quality movies from the old times, or fast paced action like sports or F1, you get the idea. So first up, I played this speed skating video from almost a decade back, which is both low quality and low frame rate, and both Realme and iQOO tried to boost the quality and also smoothen the playback, but you can see the video on the Realme is a bit sharper, also smoother, while iQOO does show jitteriness at times. Yes, this is impressive from Realme, and I love the quality. I'll show you another video from 2012 and iQOO did a good job, but when you look at Realme, it's slightly better in both sharpness and smoothness. I mean, text on the screen, the water, the players, all look cleaner and smoother on the P4 Pro. Now yeah, you can notice some smearing effect on Realme at times, like in this ice skating clip, but that's when we pushed it to 120 FPS. I mean, this reduced when we dial it down to 60, and yeah, still smoother than iQOO, which is surprising. We even tested it in Netflix with something like War of the Worlds, a 20-year-old movie, and both of them looked bright and detailed. I mean, I liked the HDR slightly better on the iQOO, but Realme played it a bit smoother. With iQOO, you can just feel like it's doing something artificial in the video with all those occasional jitters. With Realme, it just looks a lot more natural. You forget there's a chip working in the background. So in terms of video quality, resolution and color seem similar on these phones. I mean, the iQOO does better in HDR sometimes, but there is also the fact that it feels a bit artificial. Realme, on the other hand, does win in terms of smoothness and sharpness, hands down. And it's not just these tests. We have been turning off, turning on the HyperVision features in a lot of videos to see the difference, and it does make a difference every single time. Even in modern day videos, you can see the difference in smoothness and colors every single time. Now, another area where the HyperVision AI chip helps is in the gaming performance. So the Realme P4 Pro by default can play BGMI at 90 FPS, but with the frame interpolation, it's set to go to 144 FPS, so we tested it because, again, why not? Now, we can't measure FPS directly here since interpolation messes up with the FPS meters, but we turned on the Hypermotion feature and the game ran super smooth even on HDR graphics, no lag, no stutter. And if I put the iQOO Neo 10 side by side playing the same game, you probably won't notice a difference. The phone also does not heat up, so that vapor chamber seems to work. Now, of course, for something like Genshin or Wuthering Waves, the Atos Gen 4 pulls ahead, but you get the idea. And just to be sure, we did play Wuthering Waves at high settings on the Realme P4 Pro, and yeah, frame interpolation works, AI Hyperclarity and AI HDR works in games too. HDR adds contrast into games if you're into that. And yeah, even if you look at gameplay on the P4 Pro versus the iQOO Neo 10, you will notice they look very similar while being phones in different price segments with different processors altogether. And honestly, that is what makes the new HyperVision AI chip here very interesting. I mean, the Realme P4 Pro is launching later this month on August 28th, so there's a lot of things we can't talk about yet. But yeah, so far I've been testing out the Realme P4 Pro, and so far it does feel like the HyperVision AI chip is making a good difference. I mean, you can just feel it when watching videos or movies and even gaming, particularly BGMI. And yeah, that brings it closer to something like the iQOO Neo 10 in terms of display performance and purely high FPS gaming. And that is something because the iQOO is a higher priced device with a better processor, a different price range altogether. So under 25K, the new Realme P4 Pro is bringing really good overall performance with its dual chip. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see its exact price. Yeah, we will continue testing this. So if there's any other phone you want us to compare this with, any questions, drop them down in the comment section below. Hit that subscribe button, and thanks for watching.